Mario plus Rabbids gathered a lot of doubt upon its unveiling. A Western studio making a Mario game? Rabbids? Ugh, pass. Even if the XCOM-like gameplay of Kingdom Battle isn't for everyone, I'm thankful this game exists for one sole reason. It gave us a Mario soundtrack composed by Grant Kirkhope. I imagine the second Ubisoft got the green light from Nintendo to make Kingdom Battle, they called Kirkhope in hopes that he would compose. His brilliant composition mixed with familiar Mario tunes is an absolute joy and absolutely worth a listen or two. It's said that there are only 3 constants in life: death, taxes, and that Uncharted soundtrack will always be amazing. Uncharted 4 blew me away with its reworking of familiar tunes and inventive new ideas, and it makes sense that the Lost Legacy soundtrack feels like a continuation of that. Each Uncharted soundtrack draws inspiration from its location: the Himalayas for 2, the desert for 3, and the seas for Uncharted 4. India's unique sound works its way perfectly into Uncharted's cinematic score and creates some truly memorable tracks. This is the most subtle soundtrack in the entire franchise. In previous Zelda titles, a booming soundtrack accentuated almost every single second of Link's journey. Now, in Breath of the Wild, there will be long stretches of no sound but footsteps. Most of the music in this game is ambient, save for some absolutely mind-boggling songs. Breath of the Wild's main theme is already legendary. I just wish there was more stuff like this throughout the entire game. Yakuza is a series that handles a lot of intense tonal shifts, and Zero's soundtrack is one of the most diverse of the year because of that. From soothing elevator music to intense beat-em-up jams, Yakuza 0 has a killer track for any situation. Kiryu's background music is a lot more rock-focused than the techno-heavy Majima's, and it's this separation that creates another unique distinction between these two characters and their playstyles. Breaker style all day, baby. Every emotional moment of Horizon Zero Dawn is punctuated with its incredible soundtrack. Even the main menu feels emotional, allowing the player to simply bask in the visuals and sound. The female vocalist adds a fantastic dynamic to the entire soundtrack, creating something feeling extremely unique. Despite that, however, it's one of the more traditional soundtracks of the year, featuring a brilliant orchestra. This soundtrack is experimental, but in a year filled with Nier Automata, Persona 5, and Sonic Mania, this one is oddly nostalgic, which I guess adds to its charm. Sonic games have always had great soundtracks. I mean, Sonic 3's was allegedly stealth composed by Michael Jackson. Like Mario, the zones of Sonic games require iconic music to emphasize specific emotions. Sonic Mania is a trip down memory lane, being a game made up of old, new, and remixed levels. Its soundtrack is representative of its conception, featuring old, new, and remixed music. This is the only soundtrack of the year that could rival Super Mario Odyssey for the happiest soundtrack, which makes sense given that Sonic is Mario's rival. One day, I was just sitting in orbit and I happened to discover what may be the most beautiful music of the year. A vocal arrangement of the already impactful Journey, which plays just as the player's guardian flees the last city. I thought I was crazy. This song isn't listed on the soundtrack, and when I told a raiding party I had assembled using Destiny LFG, they didn't believe me either. However, they were excited. Destiny 2's soundtrack is one of the first that I've seen make random people online's ears perk up when hearing about tracks hidden in the game. Super Mario Odyssey's placement on this list pretty much stems solely from the fact that Jump Up Superstar exists. Odyssey contains some other tracks as well, but man, the Cascade Kingdom theme is full of joy and wonder, really emphasizing the game's theme of exploration and discovery. Some Kingdoms' tracks are noticeably better than others, but each one exemplifies the specific feelings that each world is meant to exude. Super Mario Odyssey is hands down the happiest game of the year, and its soundtrack emphasizes that feeling. Video game music exists for many reasons: to make killing time easier, to empower the player, to match a location, like a town, to a song, to make the player nostalgic, to accentuate the narrative. Nier Automata's does all of this. Even within one playthrough, the player becomes nostalgic for the epic vocals that permeate the desert sands or the beautifully haunting song that plays in the overgrown city. The battle themes are distractingly epic. Unlike some games, the soundtrack isn't afraid to overwhelm the player's senses. It isn't background music, it's foreground music, and that's one of the reasons why it's so memorable. As groovy as Nier Automata's is epic, Persona 5's original soundtrack is my favorite soundtrack of the year. There are so many standouts: Layer Cake, Beneath the Mask, Last Surprise. This soundtrack is unforgettable. I listen to the music of Persona 5 almost as much as I listen to any other music, and that's a testament not only to its emotional impact, but also its staying power. Being a near 100-hour JRPG, it'd be easy for the music to get old fast, but it doesn't. It never feels too overbearing, nor does it sit on the sidelines. It's the life force of Persona 5, and it drives every single moment forward while also being thematically consistent. It is undoubtedly some of the greatest music to ever be composed for a video game.
You never see it coming.